Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today we're going to be looking at a rather odd helmet. It is called Wormskull. The Wormskull is a Necromancer item, as you can see by the +1 to Necromancer skills, and it's a little odd. Let's go over it together and we'll talk about it. So the Wormskull Bone Helm has 34 defense, a strength requirement of 25, which is relatively low, a level requirement of 21, which again is relatively low, and +1 to Necromancer skills. So it seems to be pointed directly at Necromancers. We have +80 poison damage over 8 seconds, which is a pretty high amount of poison damage for level 21. And +5% life stolen per hit, which seems a little odd on a Necromancer helmet. +10 to mana, and 25% poison resistance. Now, if you take it as a whole, 5% lifesteal, and kind of says beating things with a wand or a stick or a mallet or a hammer or a sword or whatever you're doing. So it kind of says to me this helmet was kind of designed for Poison Dagger Necromancer. Poison Dagger Necromancers are probably the only Necromancers that are going to get in there and actually stab things. And the extra poison damage will stack on to your Poison Dagger. The lifesteal will, of course, help keep you alive. And you know, it seems like it was specifically made for a Poison Dagger Necro. There is also an Ethereal version, which is 34 defense. Or sorry, I forgot to bump up the defense. My bad. I'll run that on the calculator real quick. It won't take but a second. So 34 plus 50% is a total of 51 defense for the Ethereal version. And of course, it has less stat requirements, so only 15 as opposed to 25. Not bad. And quite honestly, there's really no reason to have an Ethereal Wormskull. I suppose if you found an Ethereal Wormskull early on in your ladder experience, it could definitely be useful on a mercenary for the 5% lifesteal. But other than that, there's really not a lot of reason to utilize this particular item. And that's really what it comes down to, is that most people don't use Wormskull because they're not Poison Dagger Necromancers, or they're not specifically going to be using, you know, those abilities, like a melee kind of ability. I do think that the 80 poison damage over 8 seconds, along with the lifesteal, could be relatively useful on another character. Like maybe if you found this on a melee paladin, a melee, you know, barbarian, or maybe even an Amazon. The lifesteal combined with the poison damage might be a little bit useful if you had nothing better for a little while. But for the most part, I think you'll usually end up finding something a little bit better than Wormskull as you level up. Let's go ahead and upgrade it, and let's see how it upgrades and whether it would be a good idea to upgrade at all. So unfortunately, Wormskull does not have any enhanced defense on it at all, which means that it's probably going to upgrade really poorly. But let's do it anyway. Why not? So 34 defense, level 25, or sorry, level 21, strength 25, to a Wormskull Grim Helm of 90 defense, 58 strength, level 30. Not exactly a terrible upgrade, to be honest. That was actually not bad. And the Ethereal version is going to upgrade from the defense I stated earlier, 15 strength, level 21, to 106 defense, 48 strength, and level 30. Not exactly good upgrades, honestly. Maybe if I was actually using this on a Poison Dagger Necromancer and I was kind of relying on that defense, could be useful. Let's go ahead and upgrade this to the 3rd tier, because why not? Usually this upgrade goes poorly, so we'll see. Unfortunately, how it works is a lot of the times the elite version, because it has a rather high variance on defense, it can actually downgrade the defense. So it's going to go from 90 defense, 58 strength, level 30, to 109 defense, 106 strength, level 75. So a pretty terrible upgrade, to be honest. And the Ethereal version is going to go from 106 defense, 48 strength, level 30, to 219 defense, 96 strength, level 75. Not exactly the greatest upgrades in the world, and quite honestly, Wormskull is probably better left in its original form. Its level 21 form, the Bone Helm. Now, if you were specifically trying to find yourself a Wormskull Bone Helm, maybe you're trying to collect, maybe you are building a Poison Dagger Necromancer and you'd like to get your hands on one, Let's take a look and see what we can find. So over on Silo's pen here, let's assume we have relatively low magic find because we are a level 20 character, a little level 20 Necromancer, and let's go to the Wormskull. Bink. And we're also going to look at normal difficulty because quite honestly, that's when this helmet is going to be most useful is normal difficulty. So we're going to look specifically at normal difficulty monsters. Not a lot of really good choices here. Durance of Hate level 3, Brem Sparkfist apparently has a decent chance at 1 in 19,000. As well as the Council. The whole Council has a pretty decent chance. So it looks like you could farm the Council in normal difficulty, and you could also farm Mephisto in normal difficulty, because I'm also seeing Mayfair Dragonhand and YN Voidbringer on this list. That actually might be a pretty good choice because you're usually around level 20 by the time you get to Mephisto in Act 3. And we also have... No, Mephisto's not on the list. That's interesting. But Diablo in normal has a 1 in 503 chance, so he might be a pretty good monster to farm. Not bad at all, honestly. And Bale also 1 in 541. I do feel like the Council and Nightmare Mephisto probably be your best choices. The Council and Nightmare Mephisto, those are pretty good shots. All in all, I just don't really think that Wormskull has a lot of uses. It is a niche use item. It is specifically pointed at Poison Dagger Necromancers, and that's kind of its issue. Usually when you have an item that's specifically pointed at a very specific character, and not only a very specific character, but a very specific build of that character, it tends to be one of those items that is kind of poo-pooed on, unless you're actually playing that build. And that's kind of where Wormskull falls. It's not just a Necromancer helmet, it's a Poison Dagger Necromancer helmet. So unless you're actually building a Poison Dagger Necro, well, poo-poo on you. As always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, even when my head is full of worms and I keep messing up my lines. And as always, keep watching.